In this episode, does size matter?
Well, I've been told it's the most. I mean, no, that's not what you're talking about, is it?
Join our adventure party as we delve into the social and cultural aspects of our favorite game, all while enlightening our taste buds with a random craft beer. So crack open your favorite Bardic inspiration and roll initiative with us of Dice and Brews.
Okay, I'm allergic to bananas, so I can't be your banana buddy.
No, hold on. To repeat the conversation,
I think it's more
we were
fun
talking
if we don't
about
give them
bananas.
context.
We're talking about bananas cleansing the palate.
Yeah, but I'm allergic to them, so...
Right. So you said there's like 2 EpiPens in your car, and I said, well, you haven't seen the new Croods movie.
I haven't seen any of the
so
Croods
you can't
movies.
be my banana bro.
No, I can't.
You
So-
never saw the first Croods?
No.
So here's the thing.
So
It's
we need what we need to do is
Croods night.
show him how to take a picture with the Croods away.
I don't think he'll like that. He might need 2 EpiPens. But here's the thing. So in the new Croods movie, like, just for instance, like, dude, my daughter is
In the
obsessed with
nudes crude
the
movie?
The nudes Croods. Oh, jeez, nudes.
my daughter. We got the early access
This is
to
a
the
blooper
Croods.
reel, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We got the early access to the Croods, the new Croods.
That's Nick Cage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
So
Anyway.
my daughter has requested
It's the
that
only
we
thing he's good at.
spend, like, she wants to watch this movie all the time. And Prime Video allows you to rent a movie for 48 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So you literally, it was just 48
I've
hours.
rented that movie like fucking 3 times.
Oh
should
my
have just bought it
God.
at that point.
You can't. They don't give you the option.
What the heck?
They know. They know the 3-year-olds are monopolizing the living room, and they demand that you spend $19.99 per rental.
Don't you got cable?
Yeah, but they don't give you fucking the Croods New Age on a fucking cable, man. Come on.
You can buy new movies on.
You can buy...
Not
on
Croods?
early access.
Yeah,
Oh,
this
okay.
is the whole, like, hey, sorry, theaters aren't open, but we still want to make
Yeah.
money off of
And
you.
we're gonna
I
make
know. I
money
did.
off you
I watched.
3-year-olds.
I watched the new Wonder Woman on HBO Max.
He just mouthed, not good.
Not good.
He's
So
all,
if
he's
we're
all
ever
by
gonna-
himself. I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't watched it either, but I haven't watched any of the one. I don't
No,
like DC movies.
The first Wonder
You're
Woman I thought
trash.
was actually really good. I liked.
I like
I was
DC
really
movies,
entertained by
period.
the first Wonder Woman.
DC
Not
comics,
the second one.
DC video games,
Animation movies.
animation, the best. Way better than Marvel, in my opinion.
I don't give a shit.
Moist.
But then when it comes to like
Batman.
real live action, oh my gosh, I don't know
Batman
what
vs
is going
Superman.
on.
You
Amazing
just blew up
movie.
the fucking comments with that statement right there.
Yeah, well, we're here to make divisive statements.
Batman versus
sometimes.
Superman. Amazing.
I'll agree with that. I like that movie.
You put Superman in cuffs in a movie
that he can totally break out of at any time.
and
But he
make
doesn't
him get
because he's a good
arrested.
person.
I thought story
Morals.
wise that was epic.
Hey,
Epic.
hold on. If Superman was a D&D character, like if you were playing Superman,
You'd have to put him in the
Hold on.
pantheon.
as your D&D character, let's say that you were playing Superman at that point, how would you play it out?
Well, first, my setting would be somewhere where
Me
kryptonite
personally-
was very readily available to the point where everybody was basically a human.
You're just a player. You're not.
No, so
The DM.
Oh.
if I was playing as Superman in that exact same world setting to where you are a god essentially. Me personally, I would
Paladin, sorcerer.
I'm not even
Hexblade
talking.
Warlock.
Are you talking class or just what would you do in that situation?
Let's just context straight across. You're in a campaign. Your character is Superman at that point, or the equivalent of Superman in that D&D campaign.
I'd play it exactly the way the movie played out.
Really?
Yeah, but
Lawful,
I
would you
like.
call it lawful good?
I like-
He's the epitome of lawful good. That's
I
his
like
downfall.
to. I like to play the good. Side note here is I've
We're
always
already on the side.
yeah
Yeah,
yeah.
we started on a side quest today.
I don't know what it is, but I think in like the past like 15 years, I've seen a huge push for people really loving like Darth Vader, the Joker. Like the bad guys get all the attention, and everybody really loves the bad guys and make fun of the good guys. Like Luke Skywalker's a little bitch, and fuck Batman, and Superman's stupid. He just sticks to a stupid code. Like no. Those are the good guys. Like I still idolize the good guys.
I think the reason that people are moving towards the bad guys is because
Because they play good guys in real life?
maybe. I mean, well,
I'm talking about the people, not the characters.
yeah, okay.
Because they're trained that they have to be the good guy or the epitome of the good guy. So every once in a while, it feels good to branch out to the bad guy.
Well, not only that, but like
I don't
we're
feel
actually
good
starting
branching
to
up
get-
though to the bad guy. I don't
Okay,
like it.
Look
he
back.
says, I
look,
need a bath. It's dirty.
I know. I have a moral code, and that's
Well, no,
what I
and that-
stick to. And
but that's fine. That's why this is my argument perfectly. Is
Dalinar is
that
the fucking badass dude.
read book 4.
Oh no! You're telling me my favorite character goes back to being a.
I'm
crazy
not
brute?
telling you anything. All I'm trying to say is that popular media or popular storytelling has not been one of letting us know why the bad guy's bad or helping us get to know the bad guy.
Ooh, until that DC movie, The Joker, was probably the best DC movie they
Yeah,
ever fucking put out.
if you've seen the Joker,
That was a good movie. I like.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Who
And it's-
didn't want to kill somebody after that movie?
no,
and
and
it was
that's my point. That's why everybody likes the bad guy.
But see, even at that point, though, even to that point, I loved it. I felt sadness for him,
At that point, I thought the Joker was the good guy.
and I could
but he
see,
was in his own mind, and that's what
And
villains
in my
are.
mind, too.
but at the same time, I could see how people would understand it and back that character. But at this, one's got to be. I'm a big person for this. Is one's got to be self-aware and responsible for their own actions and accept the consequences.
Hold on, but you're introducing like mental illness into it where you don't know what your own actions or your own responsibilities are.
Or hold on, Darth
Huh?
Vader as an example.
Yeah, that motherfucker got burnt.
He got rocked.
He thought
And
he had the high ground.
He
I've got
Yeah.
the high ground now, Anakin.
yeah. No, but when you watch I will say that I'm not a huge fan of the first 3 movies of Star Wars, but they did something that I don't think a lot of things could do.
Barney from The Simpsons just happened.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I thought about when you did
Yeah.
that.
We already know the outcome of the story, and they still got us to watch how it all played out. And they did it in a way where we started going, I mean,
If we start questioning, like, oh, is this really going to happen?
yeah, wait a minute. Like that's a good dude. I understand why he's frustrated. I understand what he's
Played by a
going through.
pussy.
I don't want to see him turn dark.
This could be a whole nother topic for a
New
whole nother
podcast.
thing.
Woo!
But I actually think that Hayden Christensen played the surly and whiny, bitchy Anakin of the first 3 trilogies or the prequel trilogies very well.
Better than Kylo Ren? I feel like they recycled that character.
I feel like
Kylo Ren was just Anakin all over again.
I feel like Hayden Christensen walked so that Adam Driver could run.
Adam Driver did a really good
The
job.
only thing
though.
they did with Kylo Ren is they actually it was like Darth Vader's redemption story to where like he doesn't go full bore. He actually like saves the fucking day or helps saves the
But
day.
at the same time, he freaking runs his dad through.
yeah, but I mean, there's sacrifices along every journey.
Kills
Which
his
leads us to our
master.
next topic. What are your non D&D hobbies, Andy?
Mine? I like leatherworking, which is kind of weird, but
I never knew that about you, honestly.
yeah, I like to make things. I like to make stuff.
We had another
you make
person
me
at the-
smile all the time.
we had another person at this D&D table that
We
like
did,
left
and that's
working.
why I probably didn't bring it up because everybody was down on that.
I don't know if everybody was down on that or
But they
never
made
mind.
fun
We're not
of
going to
it.
play that.
No, we're not. But so I like leatherworking. Longboarding was something I did. I play drums in a band.
Ooh, yeah. What's the name of your band, Andy?
East of Jordan. Check us out on wherever you stream your music. Shameless plug.
Yeah.
As we've talked about in previous episodes, I run D&D for youth kids, which means that I'm a part-time youth pastor, which is definitely something I really enjoy
Yeah, that's a passion for sure.
for sure.
I commend you for that, honestly. Like,
And-
I look up to you for that because that's
Oh, well, thank you.
that's something that a lot of people wouldn't necessarily have the wherewithal or the gumption to partake in. I mean, even though
especially at like people at our age or even older, like to play in or to connect to a younger group through a game, like
Yeah.
besides like sports, I'm not outside of sport.
Well, and I would say that I don't connect. I mean, I do connect to them through the game, but my connection really with them is just walking along with them and being a mentor in their life.
And
Yeah.
I think that's the part that I most commend you for is like the ability to be a mentor to be an influential source of information to a group of young and aspiring people. That's awesome.
And I would say that the one other thing that I'm really into is just reading fantasy novels, just like John. John's big.
Yeah, John. Speaking of non D&D hobbies, tell us yours.
Yeah, no, I've always really been into fantasy novels. We're reading right now, the Stormlight
Archive, yeah.
Archive, done Wheel of Time, Sword of Truth series, Lord of the Rings,
Mm-hmm.
all the various Tolkien books. I've always loved it. I mean, I grew up, I think, idolizing Indiana Jones, so that kind
We've
of...
covered that.
Yep, that
At
kind
one point,
of...
you even asked us to call him Indy.
Well, did I hear it correctly last time that he named a dog after Indiana Jones?
No, that was his joke.
No, that was the joke in the movie.
Oh yeah.
Come on, bro.
What's wrong with me?
Oh no.
No, but other than like, you know, that
I can't believe
Family.
I just said
I
that.
can't believe you did either. That's fucking foul.
family and work, I've got pretty much a damn petting zoo at my house. I've got
Are you talking about your wife and your kids?
I don't know. I think I might have to fight somebody if they pet my wife and my kids.
That was just a joke.
I would agree.
No, I got 2 bearded dragons, a leopard gecko. I've got 2 aquariums, dog, 2 cats,
Saltwater, freshwater,
And a partridge in a pear tree.
all freshwater.
all freshwater. Are they like all
And a-
plant based, or are they like? Because I know that some people in that hobby, they're like, oh, it's all about the fish, and then
No,
there's some people that
I've
are
got
like, I
mine's
want
full
like.
living. I got live plants
So you don't have to like clean it and stuff. Basically, is,
once a month.
yeah. Okay, that's
Yeah.
cool. That's real cool.
Yeah, I've got snails. I've got a bunch of little Cory catfish and coolie loaches. Clean up all bottom feeders, pretty much. Guppies, which I really want to get rid of guppies because they multiply too fast. And
Why don't you get something that eats that shit?
oh, that's what I'm looking at. I was looking into like firemouth cichlids, which are like a 2-3 inch large fish that is aggressive. Oh, I got betas in there too.
Cool.
But the beta is
Do
too
they
slow
fight?
to. No, betas are not what you think they are.
Well, why don't you tell us about them real
Yeah.
quick?
They're pretty slow,
They don't fight.
docile. Well, I only got 1 beta in each
Oh.
tank, but they don't mess with the guppies. They don't
You
mess
ever
with
tried
any
to
of the
fight
fish.
Your betas?
They fight each other though, is what I've heard.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you
yeah.
can't put.
They can be territorial, but in a planted tank with so much vegetation in there, if they can't see each other,
They're fine.
they're fine.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
Okay. A
It's kind of like humanity.
little bit.
They don't really. It's not what you think they are. But other than that, other than my fish, I got hamsters, and then I got a huge rabbit tree. That's what they call it. Bunch of rabbits in my backyard.
Dude, you do have a petting zoo.
Yeah.
How much are you charging for admission?
Free for my friends and family.
You get the Toyota price.
But the rabbits are going to be food.
For yourself or for others?
I've never had rabbit, and we've got a bunch. We got 12 of them now,
Yeah.
and they're
Do your kids know this is happening?
yes, they do. And we're gonna. They're a few of them are pets, but the ones that aren't pets are.
Could you
In
imagine
the
food.
same. In the
in the
same.
same case?
Yeah.
So can you imagine? Can you imagine a conversation? Your kids call one Fluffy. Dad goes out and decides this time that
Fluffy's
Fluffy's gotta go.
no, hold on, it's
He's
not
gonna
even
be on the
Fluffy.
dinner table.
It's one of them. Dad assumes
Well, we know
Which
which
one
ones.
is Fluff-
We know which ones are pets.
you marked it.
No, their color schemes are fairly.
I'm just saying, you know,
recognizable.
mistakes happen.
They
Mistakes
do, they
happen.
do.
You know what I mean? So your kids come out and they're like, "Dad, where's Fluffy?" After dinner. Wait, no, that one's Fluffy. No, that one's Spike, Dad.
I mean, it could happen. That would not be
Yeah,
a good day.
no.
Not at this point.
I'm
They're-
sure it
they're
has
very
happened.
distinguishable.
I'm sure
Yeah.
it has happened.
Oh, I guarantee.
Dude.
Yeah,
Cooking up
No,
yourself
I've
a
never,
brace of
I've never had.
conies.
I've never had a rabbit, and I've heard rabbit's pretty good.
It's not bad.
Well, anytime
So,
you can
I wanna try it out.
self-sustain your family
Yeah.
Yeah.
based on something you've
That's the whole point. Like all my aquariums, I made them all planted tanks, so they're no maintenance. My lizards, they're all in bioactive tanks, no maintenance. I've got a roach colony for feeder insects because I didn't want to buy feeder insects from the store because it was like $40 a week to buy feeder insects. For one lizard, I've got 3. So I started a roach colony and I breed my own roaches and I just put them in the tanks and they eat all the poop and whatnot. And
The feed for my lizards costs $0.
Well, you don't
Have
have
lizards.
yeah. But so I just
surrounded by
I just got really tried that self-sustaining
Yeah.
model and
Well, that's why I asked you about the because I think that stuff's cool. Like, I don't know about anybody else, but I'll sit there and watch those those fish tank videos on YouTube where the guy like makes a self-sustaining fish tank and
that's what got me started.
Oh my gosh,
I started
they're
watching
so
those.
fun.
I started watching those and I was like, I want to do that. And then so I just did it.
I don't watch fish tank ones, but I watch ants. Like a guy
Okay.
Oh,
does
I
ant
so thought
colony-
about getting an ant colony.
ant
It's like
colonies,
all
and
over
then, like,
my
it's a
Amazon.
whole- it's a whole fucking like
Like if you look at
thing,
my
and I don't-
recently searched Amazon, it's ant colonies.
like I don't know about if I'm really interested in ants or if I'm really like interested in this guy's voice. You know, like
I mean,
like some of these things, like these guys talking, I'm like, wow. And before you know it, you're 3 hours deep and you're like, what the fuck just happened to me? This guy just fucking hypnotized me.
what did you do all day?
And then my wife comes home and she sees my Amazon order and she's like, why are we getting an ant colony? And I was like, I don't fucking know. This dude on fucking YouTube
He
told
made
me
it look
to.
easy.
I want to talk about fire ants too.
But speaking of self-sustaining backyards, Ben, how's
That's
that
not
going?
my hobby.
No, it's not your hobby, but
No, that's not my. That's my
You
wife's
did-
hobby.
he
You did buy a book.
He doesn't have a self-sustaining backyard. He has to self-sustain his backyard.
Yeah. But I do recall he bought a book that never came.
It never came. I did buy a book, The Self-Sustaining Backyard and How to Live Off the Grid. It never came. So guess what? If you ordered that book and you got it, you know what? Send me a PDF or something.
We'd love to see
I
it
would love to see it. How do you stay off the grid while self-sustaining your backyard?
because I don't think it exists.
I don't
But
think so either. I think somebody got rich quick. But anyway, my non-D&D hobbies consist of
D&D.
no, I like to paint miniatures. So I mean, if you can equate that to a D&D hobby, I mean that's kind of what led me to the D&D hobby to begin with. But I mean, I like to do voices. Like I like to entertain. You know, I would say that's a hobby of mine. I like to make people laugh.
wrestling.
That's a hobby, a guilty pleasure. I like professional wrestling for sure.
Of course.
I'm definitely a big football buff. I like football.
Football?
Football.
Or
Well,
football?
I like sport.
American football.
I don't know, anytime you put the 3 little letters of SEA in front of anything, I tend to get excited. So,
Okay.
I mean, like,
Okay.
I'm a Seattle sports fan, I would
Yeah.
call it.
I gotta
Okay.
get into hockey now.
Yeah, I think that's the next great adventure that I'm going to
Yeah,
try to
I gotta
accomplish.
learn.
Although Andy took me to my first Sounders game, and let me tell you, man, like, that was a blast.
Yeah.
Like, the Sounders game, like, that oh, man.
Well, okay.
so good.
Talk about sports. Like I can't do baseball on TV.
I don't know why, because it's really relaxing. I mean, you don't have to necessarily sit there and watch the whole thing, but like while you're mowing the lawn or you're like doing other stuff and it's playing in the background, those guys are kind of like the ants guys, where like all of a sudden 3 hours goes by and you're like, wow.
Well, like, but okay. Well, baseball on TV versus football on TV. I'm all in on football when it's on
But
TV.
see, that's what I
I'm
hate
in.
about football is it's made for TV. If you actually go to a game,
Oh, it's-
You're miserable.
you're miserable because you're constantly waiting for commercial breaks that aren't there. You don't get to see the
I don't know
commercials.
necessarily if it's
No,
commercial breaks or is
no.
it just climate based,
Oh
especially
my
being up here.
gosh.
No,
in
when
the
you go
great
to a
state of
football
Washington.
game, I love the stadium atmosphere. But that's to my
You
point, though.
love the 3 hours of drinking that precedes.
No,
the
but to my
game.
point though is
Yeah.
And then he
But
likes to dodge the alcohol enforcement officers that are saying, hey, look, no, you can't have another one. He says, bitch, watch me.
no, but to the point though is going to a baseball game.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's
It's
a
a
lot of
summertime
fun.
party.
That's so much fun.
And then you meet David Rega.
Yeah, no, going to a baseball game is a lot of fun. But the sport itself, I'm not interested
Well, and
in.
I would say the same thing about like golf. Like people will say that they like watching golf, but I
You
don't
gotta
know.
be really quiet.
I
the
don't
whole
under,
time.
I don't understand that, but maybe if you went and played golf, it'd be more
Playing
fun.
golf is fun.
I've never
I
played.
suck
I've
at
never
it.
played golf either. All I've heard is it's a giant party when you just drink on the fucking green. So
That's
I
what
mean,
I've been told. Is
Dude,
that you need to have.
try not to get the cart into the water.
the water hazard.
Yeah.
All right. And on that note, what's on tap tonight, guys? have a pint, take a break, and relax. It's my favorite part of the show. So tell me, boys, what's on tap?
Well, we've got a brew by Good Life Brewing Company out of Bend, Oregon. It's called Sweet As Pacific Ale. It's 6%, and
It's only
let's
got
see.
18 IBUs.
Only 18 IBUs. Original gravity is 15 degrees.
Original.
It's actually
What?
It's actually a
The
pretty
OG
good.
stands for original gravity?
It does.
We're
It's-
beer reviewers that don't actually know about beer.
No, it's all about taste, bro.
Yeah, it's all about taste. I think this is what's good about this is you guys know what if it's good or not. I might be able to articulate why it's good.
Great, awesome. You do that. I'll drink it.
Yeah.
Life is good.
All right, okay. I
I'm
like this
down
one.
with that though.
I like
this one.
Yeah, that's
good.
That's like the sparkling water of beer.
It's definitely lighter. It's lighter than what we've had so far. We've
Yeah.
had 3 beers. This is our
from
third
a
beer.
stout or
Went from a stout to
from
an
a
IPA
stout
to
an
an ale.
IPA to an ale, a Pacific ale, and
Yeah.
I feel like I'm drinking like sparkling water right now.
Yeah, I could
By the way, we
see
did
that.
not film these in succession, so don't take that as how you hear it.
Yeah, but good color.
Color?
Yeah, look at it.
It's a blue can.
No, I'm looking inside the anyway.
It's fucking black in
Um,
there. I can't see shit.
I like the fact that it says sweet ass.
I would say that what I like about this is that at 6% it does not taste like it's at 6%. Typically, once you get above 5 and you get a lighter beer like this, you start tasting a lot of alcohol. This tastes like a beer.
Either that or you're drinking a Pilsner, and that's just gross.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, Rainier is a pilsner.
I just think Rainier is like filtered through dirty fucking mud puddles, and it's great.
I know.
Tasting.
It is.
It's like
It-
the working man's beer.
Right
It
here
is.
for the people that are not in the Pacific
Or
Northwest.
Colorado.
Or have watched Longmire.
Yeah, if you don't know what Rainier is, it's a domestic, very light. It's like a Bud Light, Coors Light type beer with flavor.
Yeah, we
it's
call
really good.
We call
Vitamin
it
R.
Vitamin R. Yep.
It's
Or
really
Ronier.
Ronier. But this to me
He's
is
finished your first can already.
good. Good God!
well, I started before we
ju-
started the
Oh, I
episode.
thought you just cracked it.
No. Ben just cracked his. No, I mean, this is just a very drinkable beer. You could easily put down a 6-pack of this and not even realize it.
Could I
for
play a
all
game
those-
of beer pong with
that's
it
what I
back
was
in
just
the
about to
day?
say. Like, dude, this is a beer pong beer.
But a good beer pong beer.
Yeah, like this is a beer pong beer that you bring to the table, and everybody's like, "What am I drinking right now?" And then you're just like,
But then after
"Sweet
one
ass."
game with that 5% alcohol or 6% alcohol, everybody's gonna be like,
not if you're
"Whoa."
winning.
Yeah, if you're winning, you're fine.
Oh, so that'd be fine.
I'd give this one a 3.5.
Yeah, I'm there. This is a 3. I'm
mean-
down with this.
3. Yeah.
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 It's not as hoppy.
I just like the fact that
But-
you know what? I'm gonna go 3.5 because on the can it says "keep cold."
Well,
I think every can says that.
Does it? Keep cold.
I will say that I had a chance for it to warm up, and it was good cold. It was good warm.
I will say mine's not super cold because it's been sitting out for 15, 20 minutes. And
Yeah.
It's actually
because you're a cold-hearted person.
It's
Sometimes.
Mine's
a
still cold.
sometimes.
it's a daily drinker. I
Yeah, this is a
would
good one.
That's a good one.
Do you know if this is seasonal?
I do not know if it's seasonal. I got it at a gas station, so I'm guessing it's
Whoa.
not.
Oh wow, that gas station's fancy. We should get the next one from there.
No, we pretty much already had everything from there. That was the only one I know we hadn't had. So, yeah, I think it's a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like it.
yeah. So we're gonna go a solid 3. Check out Good Life Brewing Company, Sweet As Pacific Ale. Very good.
It's 1S.
One
It
S.
is with an exclamation point. It looks like a mermaid tail on the cover.
It
Honestly,
kind of does.
or a pineapple, but we're not. Gonna
Well, what it is it's a hop bud.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, yep, I see it, I
Yeah.
see it.
Cool.
I thought it was like a Brussels
It's just
sprout.
so violent. Violent.
Vibrant?
colors.
How many of these have you had, Ben?
Just one. I'm still stuck on bearded dragons and eating fluffy. Anyway,
Anyway,
today's topic on Of Dice and Brews is, does size matter? And we're not talking about the size that you would equate that phrase with. We're talking about your table size and your group size. So let's roll initiative and see who's getting this conversation started, shall we? I got a 4.
I got a 5, and John doesn't
I
know
lost my dice.
where- right behind your beer, actually.
Typical.
8. Typical. Let's see what that dice tower done. 15.
You still win. You
You
win
still
twice.
win.
You roll with advantage and knocked it out of the park. Good job. John, tell us, does size matter?
I think so. Just so over the years of playing, when this table we're sitting around right now is full.
This table that he's talking about is a 6 foot wide table with a 4x4 recessed inside that sits
That's six.
that
Six.
sits 7 people. Well, it can fit 8, but I mean, if you have one person on the DM side, they get a whole side because
Yeah.
you're the DM.
Well, comfortably, you get one DM, six
Six
players.
players.
And I've noticed just over the years, especially as a session goes on, like maybe we're all in it right at the very, very beginning, but as the combats or even sometimes RP sessions can take time, the person at the farthest point in the initiative order really starts to lose attention.
See, and that's the part that I have an issue with.
Yeah.
Because you're
Explain.
always the farthest from no matter where you are in initiative.
I know how a circle works.
I think he was
No, I get that you know that, but like my point being
geometry says.
like geometry says like
But when you have that much time between you
when
and
it's
then
like
your next, when you have 6 people, it can be like I've seen it where it's like
Yeah.
Kinda
30
daunting.
minutes
Yeah, it's-
before
Yeah.
it's your turn again.
Especially if you're at the higher level, like 1 through 3.
Yeah, when you got a very complicated action to do
could you imagine
with
six
a bonus action.
sorcerers?
Oh,
16th level.
fighters.
Oh god. Yeah.
Good lord,
How many action surges and
man!
Oh my god. Well,
meta magics?
and
oh
at that
my
point
gosh.
in time, do you really give the guy that's sitting over there with his phone just trying to pass the time because there's no real like cinematic RP going on?
Yeah, at a lot of the times that what really drives those situations down is figuring out the rules when you got something that's complicated to do and you got to work out with the DM, distances and various rules that they got to be. The rest of the group
Suffers.
suffers, and they kind of just space off, pull their phones out, side conversations go like crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it at this table, assigned seating
Yeah,
to try to alleviate some of these things, and I don't even think that worked.
I don't even know if assigned seating at that point was like to alleviate side conversations. I think it was mostly to allow people to play their own characters.
It was to alleviate one side conversation.
Yeah, okay. Recent memory.
Yeah.
But here's where I struggle. Is because I think size does matter to a certain point, but at the same time, like if you, based upon a previous episode that we had, if you have a group of like-minded individuals that are here to play the game, and a DM that can tell a story or spin a story, and if the players allow the DM to spin the story or tell the story,
He looked right at me.
I think that group size really it's group based.
It can be, because I will say again, at this table I've been in 6-player groups. I think granted they were a lot of them were more power gamers, but it flowed fast because each player knew exactly what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, and they executed. Next guy knew what they're going to do, execute.
See, I think that's a lot of this falls on the DM though. I think a lot of this with the DM needs to be in control of his table. And I'm a proprietor of a small group, a more intimate group, but at the same time, like I've also been a part of a DM of 8 players at a table where everybody was hanging on everybody's every word. So, I mean, if you're telling or you're weaving, the way that my mind works as a DM is that we're not playing on
RP can be intriguing for the group.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But so can combat. And I think that certain rules lend themselves well to cinematic combat.
Yeah, when I say RP, you can have RP in combat.
In combat.
If
Okay.
you describe your actions thematically, yeah.
Absolutely. And I wasn't trying to separate the two. I'm sorry. I apologize.
I understand.
But I think that as a DM, it's your ability to not only facilitate what the player at the time whose turn it is doing, but also telling the next person that, hey, look, you're on deck. You need to be aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
So if you're keeping initiative as a DM, or have somebody else do it,
Mhm.
you don't necessarily have to have all the power unless you want it. But if you have everybody involved on everybody's turn, or if there's direct consequences for not paying attention. I'm not saying punish your players by any stretch, but I'm saying like, hey, look, man, like if you have like, we tried an optional flanking rule where, look, in order to achieve flanking and an advantage for another person, that person providing the distraction whose turn it's not has to describe for me
How
they're doing it.
Yeah.
Which means that they have to pay attention to what's going on during not their turn.
Which I would argue is a device that is set up in order to keep people engaged.
I think that's one of the cons that we're leaning towards is that the con of having a big play group is that people aren't engaged or people are losing engagement.
That's to a big play group. That's what I see the most is loss of engagement.
Get low.
Yep. The time it takes to go around the table can be daunting sometimes.
Yeah, no, and I'll agree with that. But like I said,
and a downside, like we're talking, and you're bringing up really good points that can help alleviate that solution in combat scenarios. But when you're going, say if you're doing a RP scenario with that many people and you're in a town, it's non-confrontational. One person's RP session, like if they're kind of off the from the party, could last a very long time. And then you got 7 more or 5 more or whatever your size is to go through of the same thing. And there's another aspect of losing.
I would put it then, the larger the play group, the more interesting the individual player needs to be.
That would be nice.
I would put it on a DM again, and I would say, look, as interesting as this RP is, like, I need to cut you short. And you don't have to say that out loud, but you can say, hey, look, I've noticed that we've been talking for 3 minutes and everybody else is starting to get restless, so I'm going to move on to the next one in my own mind as a DM. And I'd be like, and I'd pick the most person that's not engaged and be like, what do you want to do?
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
With my home group, I started off with 5 at the table. No, 6 at the table. I started off with 6 at the table. And when it came to the role-playing sessions, halfway through their point they were trying to do or whatever they were trying to achieve in the role play aspect, I was just like, all right, we're going to leave it right there. Next person. And it took me 2 go-arounds of the table to get everybody, but I cut everybody's in half.
And I think that lends itself well to keeping everybody engaged and hanging on that next one, because now they're constantly thinking about when it comes back to them. Now what I know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Or it gives them a second to think about it. Like, okay, I initiated this conversation.
That's why I did it.
And now I have a goal in mind. Or whereas before it was pointless, or maybe they said something that triggered something, and now I have time to think about it.
Yep.
And now now I'm ready.
That's what I did it on. I picked up on that. I don't even think I intentionally did that.
Were you bored as a DM?
No. I honestly think I was in that situation where it was diving deep, and I'm like,
I'm not ready for this. Let's move on to the next thing so I can jog my memory.
I'm not ready for this, so let's move on and see what you got. And maybe the next guy had something which you'd call trivial or not too engaging, something simple.
But then on top
of
that,
let me think about the previous one, and I'm like, okay, all right, this is how I'm going to go with that one.
Here's another thing too: is like as a DM trick, man, you can use that to tie 2 stories together.
Yeah,
like maybe, the person that you're talking to, that you're like, man, I need to think about that. Like maybe the next person gives you a tidbit where you give half to that person that just brought up the situation, to player A, and you give half to player B.
And now you got to make the 2 characters
and now they have
talk.
to connect each other.
Yeah, they got to talk to each other.
And it's on them to do it.
Yeah.
So
that is a great storytelling tool right there.
So then you look like a fucking genius as a DM.
Yeah.
When you were just confused.
When you were just trying to get your bearings yourself.
So I guess the question, it being, does size matter with a play group? We're approaching this from a DM's perspective right now.
Yeah.
And I would ask the question, does it seem like it's more detrimental to a DM or more detrimental to a player character if the group size is above, we'll say, 6? Should a new DM right out of the gate, how many people should they have at their table?
A new
3.
DM?
3.
Yeah.
4 total. 1 DM, 3 players.
I started with 6.
Yeah.
I mean, that's feet to the fire, but I'm just saying,
But
to
I also-
tell an
I've had-
engaging story, in my opinion, you can go as many as you think you can handle. Like, honestly, man, if you're just looking to have fun and you got a whole bunch of people interested in playing this game with you, do as many as you want. It doesn't matter. You guys are all there to have fun. But in my mind, if you want to tell an intricate story, like if as a DM, if you have a story that you want to tell, or you want to have people help you tell, or you guys want to tell together, 3.
Yeah.
Because guess
Yeah.
what? You want to tell your story. You don't want to get flustered if somebody ventures outside of your story.
I'd say 4, but
not ventures outside of your story, but like commandeers the ship,
Hijacks it.
Yeah,
and,
like you
and
know what I
takes
mean.
it in a
Does something
direction.
else. But if you're just looking for
takes
tabletop
magic
fun,
items and runs away.
if you're just looking for tabletop fun and you want to play D&D, you want to roll dice, you want to have a good time, dude, as many as you can fucking handle. Like honestly,
Yeah.
I'll fill it up. But that's beer and pretzels D&D versus campaign D&D.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
one shot D&D in my mind versus we're playing every 2 weeks. You're gonna build this character as far as we can go, and we're gonna do high story development and character creation.
Well, and what's coming to
That's what
my
I'm trying to
mind.
do with our campaign. That's my goal.
Well, what's coming to my mind when you guys bring that up is like anything over a certain amount. It's like, why not just have a murder mystery party? You'll have just as much fun.
I mean, that's true, but at the same time, you can have arena battle nights with fucking D&D rules too. I mean, like there's
True.
many ways that this game lends itself. If you have a whole bunch of people, at your-
WWE wrestling tournament.
what Royal Rumble?
What? We're all fighters with the
It's not-
Tavern Brawler.
Dude, you should watch it because it's not all fighters.
I know, but
But here's the thing. Also, in my mind, is that we have brainstormed many different scenarios, which lend itself well to, as a DM, you have multiple people that want to play your game or want to play at the table, but then again, like you can only handle a certain amount. So here's the first situation that comes to mind. Is remember when we talked about this thing where we were like a trappers guild or a thieves guild, like everybody's a part of this guild or this heroes guild or something like that, where everybody retains a level. It's almost like having your own home adventurers league, where everybody retains a level and you have a certain amount of quests, and you decide that you're going to give a certain player in your group this quest. Now it's up to that player to go between the other players and find their adventuring part.
oh yeah, our circling DM story. Yeah, that is a great idea. I like that one because when you have switching DMs and doing multiple little one shots essentially, but having like you're the DM for the first one and we run a one shot or a two shot or whatever. And we get done with that quest, everybody comes back to the said guild hall, and now it's Andy's turn to DM.
And
And
I think that expands on the thing that I'm talking about, but I'm talking about like the forever DM. Let's say that not everybody's comfortable playing the DM, but you also have like as the forever DM, you have 10 people that want to play your game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it lends itself well both ways.
Yeah, and I think there's other ways around that too. Is you've got like the West March style.
this is literally what
what we're kind of talking
pretty
about.
much
right?
what we decided is the West March style. What we're talking about is like a very, very slight variation of that.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's a good way to mitigate.
It's like taking the
Large
West March
play
style,
groups.
but putting it into a story
Yeah,
for everybody to be a DM, everybody to be a player
And
at
also
some given
everybody
point.
to pay attention to what's happening.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because if you're the DM next, you kind of have to pay attention to what the player character has done previous, because now it's your turn to tell a story that builds upon that
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, we talked about this West March style a couple of years ago. Remember?
I think we've been constantly building on it a little bit at a time
Yeah.
to try to like fill it out, like how we're
yeah,
gonna do it.
how we want to.
But here's the thing: is like even like I said, even if you're the forever DM, like even if you want to be the DM for all these people, like let's say you want to have 4 groups and you want to just run D&D and you got plans for all of them, and you're just that gung ho about it. There's ways that you can play multiple games and intertwine groups and intertwine.
I loved
players.
I loved your. I was privy of being in both campaigns, but
same.
Oh yeah, you were. Yeah. We were the good guys and the bad guys in the same world
Yep.
in 2 different campaigns.
Mhm.
The other players changed, but me and you were.
Yeah, and that was something that was going to feed into good guys meet bad guys to
But then I died.
to defeat the greater evil. So like, what do the good guys and the bad guys like have in common, or what do they desire to hopefully defeat the greater evil? And that was fun. That was really fun. And on that aspect, you see, I a lot of this group size matter to me falls on the DM and how much they're willing to take on and how much they're willing to.
There's got to be a point where you say that
you all have been the forever DM, so maybe you're lacking the experience
aspect of it?
Yeah, of what it's like sitting at this table with 6 other players.
But then again, like as a DM mindset, like I put my
because I'll tell you,
response or my responsibility is to make sure everybody has fun.
So I'll tell you right now, like I would think me, you, Andy, are usually at most of the campaigns or games that we play, we're the ones that kind of drive the story as players.
Yeah.
See, but here's the thing: is like as a, and I'm just gonna butt in real quick. But as a forever DM, knowing that you guys are the constant, I'm gonna try to focus on somebody else.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I understand that.
Because you're not gonna have to work.
I'm trying to give
us
you,
involved.
but
I know you guys will find your own niche.
So but you're going back to the DM
perspective.
perspective. You're going back to the DM perspective. I'm saying from a player's perspective, when we're sitting here and we are we try to be the driving force for the story. And you got
you farted.
Smacking the microphone on accident. But you got 4 other players that aren't engaging, and you got the DM and 2 players that are really trying to pull everybody in. And then you're like 2 hours into this game session, right? And it just got done with your turn, and now you got to go through 4 players that are barely even paying attention, maybe not even really read their character very much.
Here goes,
it gets frustrating.
I know,
as a player
I
side.
understand that part, but here's the thing: is like that goes back to our previous episode. Does your friends make the best play group? Or are you going to surround yourself with the
some
people,
of these weren't
or
people I'd
try to surround yourself with the best people that you can play the game with?
Well, okay, but hold on though. I think what we're trying to establish is how many is too many, because I think that's.
I don't think you can.
But hold on. The caveat is that if you've got a table of new players, chances are you're going to want fewer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hold on.
Keep it low.
And hold on. And this is where I disagree. And I'll tell you why. It's because I believe new players are so eager to play that they're hanging out. Ain't nothing but a dandy game.
Yeah, y'all should keep your day jobs.
So at a party of new players, all new players, I believe the enthusiasm is so high that they're so excited to play this game. If they're forced to the table, or if they're their friends like, hey, come play this,
their enthusiasm will be there.
Right. No, hold on. But because I've seen it, man, and it's crazy, because I was like, dude, there's no way that I can
throw game rules at them, though.
But that's why you minimize it.
There goes your time.
But here goes the thing, man, is like, that's why all campaigns start at level 1, by the way. But at the same time, if you give them just enough to play the game as a DM and then introduce things in small increments to them, what difference do they know?
I understand what you're trying to say. What I'm saying is that as a DM, trying to teach 3 people a new game is a lot different than trying to teach 7 people a new game.
I disagree.
Hold on.
Okay.
But I also believe that you've got, and maybe I'm biased, because my first D&D experience, I showed up to a table and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it didn't make sense to me, right? And I don't know many people that can actually truly tell somebody what to expect at a D&D table. Yeah, so, I mean, you show up to a table, and I think for a lot of people, it's pretty jarring not knowing what's actually happening. Because most of the time, you don't get the primer that you need in order to actually be able to show up to a table and get involved. So,
I guess that's if you come in on the middle of something, if you're like primering or Jaegering or taking over for somebody that's already in place.
Yeah.
But if you're starting off fresh, like for me, my experience, man, I've been talking to these guys, this group of younger kids. Andy, you're my inspiration for this. I've been talking to these younger kids, and they're children of friends of mine. So I mean, don't just mistake me talking to younger kids. But children of friends of mine, and I'm like they're 15 and to 17, to 18 years old, and I'm like, you guys got to get into this game. You know what I mean? I even went to the lengths of purchasing for one of the younger kids' birthday a PHB and a set of dice.
Nice.
But I was setting them up to like, hey man, like play this game. You want to play this game? This is a good game.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, I got them to play this game, to commit to this game. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to force somebody to play the game. You know what I mean? But you can hint and you can throw it out there. But finally, there was some push and give. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, what am I going to play? And I'm like, okay, well now you're forcing me to set a date. Okay, so now I'm going to set a date. So you get 5 of your friends together to play this game with us. You know what I mean? And we're going to do it in 2 weeks. Create a messenger group. We're all friends on Facebook. Add me to the messenger group. I'll tell you guys a little thing. I'll pre-generate the characters for you. I'll take care of all the inner workings. Just show up and be ready to fucking play this game. So all level 1 characters. And I went to the extent of like, dude, I didn't know who was going to show up to my table. So I went to the extent to like, dude, I did every class, pre-generated characters with the optimal things. Optimal spells at level 1, optimal races for the builds, everything optimal. You know what I mean? And male and female on both characters. So they all had names, or they had to come up with the names, but I did male and female on both. So like they would look at the sheet and be like, oh, well, this says male. You didn't plan for a female. No, I planned for everything, just so everything would be copacetic. You know what I mean? Because their first introduction to this game, I wanted it to be optimal. So I went through and 8 people showed up to my table at that night.
Oh,
nice.
I know who that.
You know what I mean? So, and I was prepared for more than that. I had plenty of things, but here's what I did is like I said, and I went through it like a 0 session, and that's why honestly I think 0 session is important, so you can tell people what to expect or what your image of your campaign is in your head.
Yeah.
Because there's nobody that's going to show up to the table with if a player shows up to your table and they don't have any idea of what you're running or what kind of game you run, then you got a problem because you didn't inform them of what it was in the beginning. 0 sessions are important because of this. So whether that's done online via chat or messenger or in person, whatever, however you want to do it, most of it's done online now.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to show up if you don't even have interest in what's going on. But they all showed up and they're all gung ho, ready to go. And you know what? I had them roll for initiative right off the bat. They didn't have characters or anything. I had them roll for initiative. Roll a 20-sided dice. The first person in that initiative order got to pick their character. What do you want to be? And I just went down the line. So I had everything from, I had 8 people, so you can only imagine the range of classes and races that I had at this table. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty much like almost one of everything.
Yeah.
Trying to teach that many people a different class and a different race who haven't had any experience with this can be daunting. But you, as a DM, and you're introducing this game to people, take things that make it daunting for you to try to teach them away from them and give them the best things.
Yeah, but okay, but if you are an experienced DM, so biting off that is okay.
I don't know if experience. Well, I don't think I'm an experienced DM. I think this is logical thinking.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think that you have a complicated game, and we all have knowledge of how things operate in this game.
Yeah.
Like classes, characters, dice rolls. We all have that knowledge. We all have the same knowledge.
Yeah.
So in order to make your job as a DM easier, logically, not experience-wise, logically, wouldn't it make sense to take away the complicated things in order to introduce a game to new people that have no understanding of what's going on?
Yeah. I think I did the same thing with my home group.
Okay.
I introduced a whole group of people that had no idea what the game was besides one.
Hearing you talk about playing it. And
yeah.
two, probably what they read about it online or heard from a friend.
Yeah. And as things went, you know, I as the DM, I kind of just went with the rule of cool.
Absolutely. You feed the story.
Yeah, I was very much more worried about continuing that story and continuing the campaign and everything.
And continuing interest. Like,
yeah,
I want you here next time. Like,
I wanted
the next turn.
If somebody wanted to do something or did something that
probably doesn't fit here, but guess what?
We're
going to make it work.
Didn't follow the rules. Was a bad choice. Whatever. You know what? I'm gonna as the DM. I'm gonna twist that around or re-narrate that to where it fit to keep it going, to keep the person interested,
engaged.
Yeah,
to keep them engaged
and
in
to
the story.
keep the group going.
Right.
things, actual rule play or how things are supposed to work, that comes later with experience, and they will probably lean towards that their own on their
Right,
selves.
because once you spark that interest, they're going to be like, hey, like now I'm hooked.
Yeah.
Like I want more. And the best way to get more is to, now I need to purchase the PHB
Yeah.
or look into my character even more on D&D Beyond or
Yeah. And then they start reading the
whatever.
rules and they're like, oh, well, I
that's
remember
not how
it
that
did-
worked. Yeah.
that shouldn't have worked that way.
Right, but
I
then
did-
they reach out to you and you're like, hey, look, man, like I just wanted to introduce you to this game, what the capabilities are. And now we can talk about
difficulty setting was on easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be that way. I don't know that I can yet.
As a
that
DM?
yeah.
but I think you can. I think you're overthinking it.
I might be.
And just real cool, bro.
But I think-
Well, no, I do the rule cool for sure. I mean,
That's
I do it
I
with
think that's the
teenagers.
easiest.
I definitely think that we covered this in the first episode. Like honestly, like when you have a rule set like 5th edition, that you can, in my mind, it's easy to add and subtract things
Yeah.
because it make it so without subtracting.
Is this why
without-
everybody should play D&D?
Yeah, without subtracting the main aspects of a class that makes it a class. You know what I mean? You can take away things in the game that make it easier on the DM, especially for first players.
Oh yeah, no. Keep class mechanics, but maybe take out the DM mechanics.
What came to mind
And,
for
and
me
that
was
makes
grapple.
it really easy.
Yeah.
Like-
for
A new player is not even going to know
Yeah.
that that's
No,
an
but
option
guess
unless
what?
they
When
might
they-
say that,
But
and
when
then be
they
like,
say,
okay, make a
when
strength
they
check.
say, here's the thing though, is when they say, hey, look, I want to tackle this guy and take them down. Then you say, okay, roll me a strength check.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't have to call it the technical term. And that's, I guess that's, I had a lot of fun doing that game because the purest sense of the game is them not knowing what the fuck.
yeah, it doesn't have to
the
be. Oh,
terms
you
are-
only have one action per
Right.
turn. Like, oh, you want to hit him and grapple him?
Try it.
Sure. Give
Yeah.
me a strength check. Oh, you grappled him. Now you want to hit him? Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Whatever. No.
But that's also, I mean, you're bending the rules, but that's also it's your game as a DM. Like,
Well, that's what I would say. The size of the party matters as long as it matters to you. Maybe is a better way to put it. If for you,
why do you always come with these amazing thesis or like summary sentences?
I don't know.
He's good at one sentence
This
structures.
is a t-shirt guy right here.
okay. Well, no,
The party size only matters as long as the party matters to
The
you.
last episode, I think you had like 3 of them.
Yeah.
if you're
Fuck,
the DM,
stickers.
right? And if you're the DM and you know that you've got this friend group that you're going to DM for, and there's going to be 8 people, and that's just too much for you, just tell them that goes
Oh, absolutely.
to expectation. It might not actually be too much, but for you at that moment, it might feel like it's too much, and you're supposed to be having fun too.
And I've done that. And I've done that with the group that the Tyranny of Dragons that we talked about the last time. Like when there were 6 of you, that was probably the largest group that I thought that I DM'd.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or maybe it was a little daunting or intimidating to me at
Yeah.
that point. So that's why I split you up in the first place to
Yeah.
see if I was okay with this.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And honestly, splitting you up into the 2 groups of 3 people was me creating groups within a group. That way, like if one person went off on a tangent, then 2 people at least would probably follow them because they had a camaraderie with that one person.
Yeah.
Or at least they would ask them questions.
Yeah.
So you create DMs inside of your group that police other players.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you create 2 groups, but within the group, I mean, natural social structure, you're going to find a leader. So you're going to have 2 leaders in that situation.
But then you have one alpha. I mean, nobody is gonna.
Well, a good DM doesn't set themselves up as the leader, in my opinion.
Oh
No,
no,
but-
I'm not. No, but having 2 groups, each with their own leader per se. I mean, not saying that they're actually leading the group and they're the dominant one, but that's just how social structures work. Social structures work. Sure. But that aids the DM because then you have, instead of just one person kind of like driving the path of the
Yeah.
story, you have 2, and maybe they don't collide
Yeah.
correctly, but then you have 2 groups that are gonna back up those said leaders,
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna, for the DM, that's less storytelling he's got to do and more storytelling that the players create on their own.
which is the best in this game, is when your players or your table creates your story for you.
Oh yeah.
You've done your job. Now just sit back and just interact with them.
Just be the world.
Right. So
Yeah.
before I was going to go on this path of like, does group size matter? And honestly, like as a DM, in my mind, it only matters if you can't create like a chessboard, if you can't create pieces for the players to interact with, and then you interact with what they move. You know what I mean? D&D is a giant game of chess, in my opinion.
Okay.
So if you're moving and then the players move they react on your move. And then you as a DM react on what the players reacted to. So it's a constant game of reaction.
Yeah.
Optimally, though, I will say that the smaller the group size for me tends to lead to a more intimate, a more better story.
Yeah.
Because you get the opportunity to capitalize on those characters that are in your story.
If you wanted to put it into general senses, just from this conversation, I would say, regardless of experience, a small group leads to a more intimate, faster pace, close knit campaign, where a large group without as much experience leads to a slower, harder to keep interest in campaign. But we have had the unique experience of running a large group that has had interest in
And
full thing.
again, I will reach out there and I'll say, like, strictly based on DM experience and comfortability.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
not even experience, just comfortability. Like, if you're okay in a large group of people and you can manage and you have a basic understanding of
for
the
it.
rules, go for it.
Yeah.
Man, there ain't nobody stopping you. But here's the thing. As players listening out there, don't question your DMs. Let them DM.
Yeah.
Let them facilitate the rules as they see the table needs at that time.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that it's wrong, but it's in the player's handbook. It's in the DMG that the rules are just guidelines.
Yeah.
You're all
Let-
there to have fun. And believe me, the DM wants to see you guys succeed more than anybody because
Absolutely.
they're not telling a successful story and nobody's having fun if everybody dies.
Yeah.
Well, and I would go
It
as
just
far to
ends too
say
early.
I would go as far to say that as playing a DM that has
Play one on TV.
that has killed plenty of player characters, I think that's worse for
They
the
got a higher
DM.
death rate than either of us.
I think I do because for some reason teenagers can't start at level 1. But
He read the book that the monsters know what they're doing. That's what he read.
I didn't, but I thought that a group of 5 level 1 characters could take out 3 goblins, no problem, and it didn't work out. Which,
yeah.
you know, maybe we should talk about fudging rolls eventually, but which I haven't, but
You should.
I probably
that's-
should
that's
should
what I'm
have
saying.
in that.
Fudging rolls keeps it going.
Well, one of the after that, you know, I was like, "Hey, come to the table with 2 characters.
Hey,
they need
do
to
you
be
ever-
level 3,
ever
and
be
guess
a-
what? You're rolling for your own damage." So if it happens, it happens. It's not me, but
I don't want your individual imaginary character's death on my hands.
Oh,
yeah.
man. You just.
there's a lot of blood on these hands.
Dude,
if
I've
when
killed-
it comes to deep.
I've killed 2-player characters.
What's up, Pontius Pilate?
And honestly, like, I've killed 2-player characters in my time DMing. And honestly, like, the one that happened to John with the Grave Cleric, like, I mean, that was inevitable. There's no way I couldn't
that was
throw it.
epic. That death of my character, strategically, however you want to say it, had to happen. It had to happen. It was 100% not set up, but it ended up setting
Okay,
up
but I don't.
for
I
that
also
great death.
want to make sure though that we're including the player character death that you allowed me to use a channel divinity
Okay,
to do
but,
something that
I
didn't.
was gonna get there. Okay, so here's the thing: as a DM, you can take the you can take the vibe of the table, and as a player, like John, I know you can take. I knew you could take your character's death,
Yeah.
because of the circumstances. You're a very logical person.
That's what happened.
And the situation, the situation at hand was very logical, like why it had to, like why it happened.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what.
You know what I mean? So you take the vibe of your table. The second one.
So you were including that one.
Yeah.
Okay,
So the
okay.
second one was definitely a death that happened.
Yeah.
But honestly, dude, when I looked across the table and I saw this defeated, dude, there was no way that this gentleman was going to sit there for the next 45 minutes and be okay while the rest of you guys played this.
Hold on. Whose death was this?
The most recent one.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So there's no reason, there's no way that I could sit there and...
Yeah, he was about to get
Dude,
straight dropped.
yeah, that was bad. So I
Don't
had to...
split the party.
I had to think of something that would allow. Plus, ultimately, in my defense, dude, I laid out this fucking epic encounter that I wanted you guys at full strength for. So guess what? Push comes to shove.
Hey, that's where them fudge and them dice rolls come.
But at the same time, like, dude, like you have to know that death is imminent. Like this happens.
That's why.
Well, I just was watching.
I gave you guys a very good warning in my campaign.
Yeah.
Before the campaign started.
And then we ran and you chased us.
Yeah, you ran further into the cave.
Guess
not
what, man?
out of the cave.
Look, we're trying to look for some fishermen. Can you blame us?
Yeah.
So no,
Yeah.
but I heard something the other day, and it might have been actually yesterday, but it was something about, and I loved it. It's something to the effect of like, player character death needs to be like a 30% chance, but the player characters need to feel that it's a 70% chance.
I'll agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what makes it epic. That's what makes the adventure worth anything.
But there has to be a risk reward factor. Like there has to be something there that tells the characters that, hey, look, man, you might not make it out of here. Like you might die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there are consequences for your actions. So you can't just go fucking willy-nilly gung-ho and wander off and negate the warnings that are put in front. It's, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of those old Looney Tune cartoons or Disney movies where you're walking through the forest and there's like every sign that points like danger ahead. Don't proceed past this point.
What was that, Bruce Almighty or whatever, where it was like, just show me a sign.
Yeah. There's so many signs that say like, don't pass this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And as a player character, you should be aware that if those signs are starting to be posted, like you should be aware of those. But as a DM, you need to make those player characters feel like this could be your last choice.
Yeah.
You know? But that's also, I don't know, a lot of this conversation as we continue to move through it, like makes me feel like group size is on DM strictly. What DM can handle.
But, okay,
Welcome back, John.
Yeah, welcome back, John. I would say that yes, it is on the DM, but I also would say that if you are a player character and you need a faster paced game and you show up and it's 8 people at a table and you already know like this isn't going to work for me, then you need to let people know that because you might become a character that they count on in some way. And so that's where I'm thinking that like, does party size matter? Well, it matters. If it matters, like if it matters to you, then yes, it matters. If it doesn't matter to you, like, okay.
It's super situational.
Well, it is super situational, but I think like all of us could agree like 1 is too small and 50 is too many.
I don't know if 1's too small though.
Okay,
here's the thing. I don't know if you can go too small because as a DM, you can plan your campaign around one character.
Well, 0 too small.
0 is way too small. But
Zero's
at that
too
point, you're
small.
writing your own book. So
Yeah,
guess what?
exactly.
You're just an author now.
Okay, but we know, okay, so then we know that the number is somewhere between, the optimal number is somewhere between 1 and...
I don't know if optimal is 1. It's probably like 3 to 5.
Okay, but that's my point. Like,
Playable 1 to 8, I think. Playable.
we know that 20...
Optimal.
We know that
optimal
20
3, I
is
think 3 to
probably
5.
too many, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you just throwing numbers out there now?
Well, no, I am just throwing numbers out there because that's what we're trying to accomplish, right?
If you want to go playable, you could play 1 DM, 1 player. You could do that.
Yeah,
The
new Essentials kit has
literally has that designed for
And
it.
there's
Yeah.
rules for sidekicks. in
Yeah.
case
Yep.
you need more things.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
but-
I agree that you could have an epic campaign with low-level CR monsters if you believe in challenge rating and 1 player. It's all about the DM.
Oh, yeah.
Group
No, you
size
could do...
is about the DM.
That's what I'm saying.
I love
think
how
you
we
could
talk
do...
about challenge rating as though it's like some weird deity that we can't necessarily pin
It's
down.
really hard to deal with.
I don't. Okay, so challenge rating to me is a barometer of what kind of monsters that I should pit up against you guys or
Oh, yeah.
against player characters of a certain level. To me, it's not the end all be all because if I want to tell a story and I want to put you up against a Hydra and you're a bunch of level 2 characters, I'm still going to put you up against a Hydra because that's epic.
Yeah.
But guess what? I'm going to scale that Hydra back enough to where that Hydra probably doesn't one shot you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
So,
a Frost
gives
skeleton.
gives you five 5 turns to realize we
Hey,
need to
we should
run.
attack that guy. Yeah, but I think monsters are monsters.
I tried. I tried, guys. I really, really tried.
But that's a different subject that we're going to get into later. Is like book is written and modules and homebrews and all that other stuff.
I
in this
went
game
way
as we
off
play
the
it.
book in that one, but
But I just think that player or group size is all about what the DM can handle. Because
And
in my mind, everything, the more that we talk about this, the more it points to like, what are you willing to juggle? What can you juggle?
yeah.
And I'm saying that I agree wholeheartedly, but I also think that if you are a player that does not have the attention span to wait 15 minutes for your turn or is not engaged in the story,
Little
then
player
you,
responsibility.
then you need to voice your opinion and say, "Hey guys, I'm not built for this.
Losing it.
And I don't expect you guys to change, but call me on the next one."
But here's the other thing. At that point, hold on.
1 second though. To that point though, yes, I do think there needs to be some player responsibility into it. Where yes, if you can't 10, 15 minutes, if you can't hold your concentration for that long, all right, voice it out and let maybe step away at that point. But I've been at tables where it takes 30, 40 minutes to get back to your turn, and that can be a problem. And I think that leads more to Ben's aspect of the DM needs to facilitate that.
But there are player responsibilities of, like I said before, let the DM the game. You know what I mean? Like sometimes those 30, 40 minute turns are because the players are negating or trying to or overtake.
Sometimes, yes, but not all the time.
And here's the other thing is that player responsibility.
I mean, I could sage advice all day long.
In Andy's situation where voicing your opinion, I think at that point you're planning your next group. You know what I mean? So if you're sitting there and you're realizing I don't want to play with all these people because they're not my play style. But at the same time, like Rose over here and Jimmy over here, they play kind of like I do. And you know what? This guy's a really good DM. So maybe I talk to them.
Those aren't real people.
Right. But maybe I talk to them after the game and I'm like, hey man, like why don't we do a side campaign? Like, are you guys available on so-and-so night? And we can do like a 4-man group where our play style or our camaraderie is more beneficial that way. I mean, I know DM, you have obligations to Adventure League and we'll try to support you as much as we can or whatever this group is. But I think this group of people might be more in tune to the story that we want to tell.
The more that we get into these topics, the more maybe I'm side questing again. What comes to mind is communicating your expectations. That's the biggest part that this game not just teaches but requires is if other people don't know what you're expecting from your time, and frankly, you're spending 4 hours of your time. I don't know if it's weekly, bi-weekly, once a month, once every 6 months. Point being, 4 hours of your time.
Minimal, probably.
Yeah, it's a resource. Time is the only resource that humans have that they don't know how much they have left. We don't. And you're choosing to use 4 hours of your time to play this game with your friends. You need to communicate your expectations, because if you're not only shorting them, but you're shorting yourself. So why would you want to show up and be frustrated? Why would you want to show up and feel unfulfilled? You've got how many 4-hour game sessions in you? I saw a meme the other day that it was like there was that the last time that you hung out with your friends at the park, in the summertime, you didn't know it was the last time you were going to do that. As little kids, like elementary school is what I'm kind of thinking. You didn't know. I don't know if I mean, this not to get morbid, but I don't know if I'm going to get in a car accident on the way home today. I don't think I will. But I don't get to choose those things. So if I'm going to show up, I need to communicate my expectations. And this goes to so many other things of, marital relationships or partner relationships or kid relationships or anything as a parent.
Or just friends.
Friends. What are you expecting? Now,
Yeah.
I'm not advocating for you to like sit down your friend and then be like, hey, okay, this is what I expect from this relationship.
Or even at your D&D your mid-session and be like, nah, motherfuckers, this is what I expect from this session.
Yeah, exactly. But there needs to be an avenue for that.
Hold on, but I believe this is why it's on a DM. Again, is because as a DM in a campaign.
Real quick though.
You got to pee again?
No, I just
like every 20 minutes, I swear to God.
I don't know what it is. No, we're like the young ZZ Top. We all got these crazy long beards. And back to subject.
So you've got the Doctor Strange
Yeah, he's got the
gray
wings.
going on, which, man, I wish I had that so much. I wish I had
My
that.
fiance loves it.
Yeah, well, what's not to love?
All right, so that part's getting edited out for sure. So,
Why?
But that's also why I think that that this all falls on the DM, because the DM should have said in the 0 session, this is what the campaign that I'm planning on running, and this is what I expect from you as players. And if you don't feel like you can fulfill that expectation, let me know, or I'll find somebody else. You know what I mean? It doesn't, in my mind, it doesn't, as a DM anymore, it doesn't make sense to fill my table with placeholders as opposed to competent players. And I mean that with all due respect, because I mean, you're not gonna, if you have a new campaign and you're introducing new people to this game, of course you have lowered expectations. But if you're setting out on your epic, if this is your
swan
DM
song.
your swan song as a DM, or you have a tale to tell, then you better be upfront with your players. You know what I mean? You have to tell them, look, like, this is, dude, I'm all in on this, and I need commitment, and I want you to be all in as players, and I chose you for a certain reason. You know what I mean? Because either
I feel like I'm in that right now with the campaign I just started. I mean, we just ran one session, but in the summary I gave you guys and all the talking for the month up to it, I tried to convey that sense of like, hey, this is kind of what I'm expecting. This is kind of where I'm leading, what we're going to be facing, and what I'm going to be presenting you guys. And I think the 4 players that came together understood that and accepted that. And then when I showed you in the first session, you guys were like, "Oh shit, okay, yeah, no, it's real."
see.
I don't know if that's where you were going, but I that's where I was kind of feeling it.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, 0 sessions are a powerful tool.
Yeah.
0 sessions and expectations, communication, those are powerful tools. And just like in any other relationship, I feel like there's an overarching theme in all of these episodes that we've done so far, is that, you know what, this is a very powerful game.
This is why everybody should play D&D.
Yeah, it is. But this is a very powerful tool for life. You know what I mean? It's like, not only do you get to play a game and enjoy the presence of other people, but you get to learn some very powerful skills
By using them.
and then like tools as well, like, you know, like communication. And
I think charisma is the number one. Like, people don't understand or are scared to use.
I would
But in game, when you pick that charismatic character,
do you think there's a coincidence that a lot of the character classes are based on charisma, when charisma is probably the lowest quality that in real life that we use?
no, I don't think it's a coincidence. I think that leads to power.
I
think, just logically speaking,
side quest. I get what you're saying, but it does.
is Dalinar charismatic?
Yes.
Super charismatic. But would he be a bard? Hell no.
No, but he might be a warlock,
Might be a warlock. But
which is a charisma-based class.
But yeah,
And-
he's not.
and
He's
what
not
else is
like
a
the
charisma-
happy-go-lucky. Like, I'm gonna sing song.
But
I'm gonna do all that.
who
No,
is
this is a
Dalinar
character
Kholin,
Okay.
in the
Stormlight Archive.
Stormlight Archives. This is just reference based.
Yeah.
But like, you put that character, he's super charismatic. But if I took
Definitely be
one
a warlock.
chapter out of any of the books and told his perspective chapter to somebody, they'd be like, "Oh my god, he's like a stone wall. Like,
Yeah,
he's got no personality." I'm like,
I think this is.
wait.
I think though, and this is where I'm saying side quest is. I think this is the misunderstanding of what charisma is.
It's very
Charisma-
misunderstood.
Charisma
very.
is more force of presence and character
Doesn't have to be
than
happy.
than it is
Yeah.
anything other. You don't have to be extrovert to have charisma,
No, you don't.
but I think
You can be scary with very, very few words
well, and that would
and be very charismatic.
well, and that would be why intimidation is part of the charisma class, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
And so I going back to the main topic, right?
Yeah, we did side quests there.
No, that's fine. And I think we need to explore these things, because these tangents sometimes these tangents get us back to bigger topics as well. And what I'm okay, if you're a DM and you are not very charismatic,
Yeah.
it is going to be more difficult. I'm just making a guess here. It is going to be more difficult for you to run a larger group.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, because you got to control the table. You got to demand
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
the table.
Yeah, but I also would say that there's a certain point where you have to, so there's a control aspect, but you also have to be able to get out of your way, because you are, as a DM, I still think this is the best way to describe a DM, is you are facilitating other people telling your story that they don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically it. But here's to build on that is like, not only are you facilitating other people telling your story, but I would disagree with the your story part. I would say it's our story. It's not. It's not as a DM. Okay, so when you come to the table as a DM, or when you prepare for your game, you have plot points, or you should have. In my opinion, this is how you prepare for a game. You have plot points. You have objectives, and then you have a possible end game. At no point whatsoever should you ever, as a DM, be tied to any of these things.
Oh,
how
yeah.
they play out in your own head. Okay,
Yeah.
so you can. Okay,
Yeah.
So you can fiddle faddle with anything the way you want, and you can redirect things any way you want, because nobody knows how that plays out in your mind, or how it was playing out in your mind before. So you can move
Yeah.
things around. Totally fine. But here's the thing, is if you lay out this railroad for your players to follow, which is fine if they're new players, but as soon as they start to develop, your new players, like you're in a campaign, and they start to develop like their own player sense, or their own, like, hey, look, man, I really like this game and I'm starting to go with it.
Yeah.
By all means, go with them.
Yeah.
Because they're going to tell the better story than you would tell by yourself.
Oh, every time.
So
every time.
So don't be afraid of players. Don't be afraid of them, because they're going to help you tell your story better than you would have ever thought to tell it.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that, because I've learned it was the hardest thing in that I had to come to grips with, like when I started a DM, because dude, I would fucking prepare for everything. I'm talking about like every little scenario that I thought that my players would come up with, I would write out an explanation for.
Not only would he write out an explanation for it, he would have custom built a bit of terrain and or mini for that.
It was nuts, and it was daunting, you know what I mean? But I loved it at that point. But then I came to realize, like, man, like at a blink of an eye, everything that you've planned for or everything that you schemed for is gone.
Yeah.
And then you have nothing.
And I think it's important to recognize, like, at that point in time, and if you are a DM that likes to do that, you need to recognize that you are doing that because you like to do that. And if your player group decides to completely circumnavigate something that you had worked really hard on, it's no harm, no foul, because you still had fun doing that.
But here,
You know what
that,
this leads to, though, and I think this could be a discussion for later, is modules versus homebrews for new DMs. Because as a new DM, taking the Icewind Dale module, which is actually really sandboxy. The first few chapters, there's no super direction. It's just like, here's the things your players are going to pick from there. And you let your players guide the story for the first few chapters in the book. After a time, it starts falling apart. But as a new DM, finding maybe a module that's like that, I think the Essentials Kit is very much like that. Icewind Dale's like that.
Starter kit for sure.
The starter kit. I read the Descent into Avernus, or Avernus, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I don't know how to say it.
It's actually the first few chapters, the first few levels of character building are rather sandboxed, and that helps. I think that would help newer DMs, especially in large groups, if they are, because you're going to have a large group have many different aspects and avenues that they're going to want to go in, kind of guide your path. And as later levels come across, you can focus that into a specific,
the main goal.
Yeah, and
Like,
that's
this is the end objective after your culmination.
Yeah, and
of
that's
adventures
pretty-
and stuff like that. This is what it is.
that's pretty easy, because once you suck them in with those first like 4 levels, and you suck them into a story, regardless of the mini side quests they go on, wherever they decide to go in their first few levels, by 4, 5, 6, they're
They're almost seeking a direction as well.
They want a
Like
path. They want a path to
becoming
go on.
heroes. What are we saving? Or
Yeah.
we're becoming
Yeah.
villains. What are we taking down?
Well,
and
and
that's
I-
why those first 4 levels, especially for a new DM, don't worry about them.
well,
Don't
I-
worry about it. And this might be way off topic of
I would
party
argue
size, but
that-
I think it can lend aspect to.
I don't think it's that far
Party
off
sizes.
topic actually, because I think one of the things that we're doing, I think one of the things that the modules do as well is give people permission. And maybe it's the musician in me, but musicians in the past, it doesn't really matter who you're talking about, whether it's Nirvana, Metallica, the Beatles. I would say if you're a musician or acquainted to music, you'd know why I'd pick those 3. They gave future generations of musicians permission to do certain things and showed them, hey, this does sound good and it's fun, right? So from a
You said Nirvana, the Beatles.
Metallica, doing something in such a way that it tells people that it's okay to do it this way, which is what Metallica, I think, did with metal music, is they said, you know what, this is here to stay. It may not be mainstream, but we're here, right? We showed that this is a viable form of entertainment.
Okay.
Modules help do that, I think. The beauty of these compilations of like one-offs, the Candlekeep Mysteries, the Ghosts of Saltmarsh,
Tales of the Yawning Portal.
Tales of the Yawning.
Tales of the Yawning Portal. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You're
Tales
yawning.
of the Yawning Portal.
I
yeah.
mean, these are all these like one shots that kind of show you how to do it. And honestly, I think there's a way to take each one of those books and use every single one of those
As a cohesive campaign.
as a cohesive campaign.
It's
And-
easy.
Oh,
You could honestly, the way they wrote Icewind Dale, you could literally do the exact same
yeah,
thing.
all those any of that. But
Yeah.
But I think if you this plays into our topic, is does size matter? I think there's so many factors. It's how confident are you as a
As a
DM? What as a player, what are you expecting from this?
Yeah.
Are you homebrewing or are you using a module? Because I've seen it happen a lot where somebody homebrews, and it happens with teenagers a lot. They homebrew this campaign and
Overwhelmed.
either overwhelmed instantly or somebody asks them some question of like, well, what's the shopkeeper's name or who's this? I don't know. You guys just said you wanted to go
Overwhelmed.
into a shop, and all of a sudden it's like, well, this isn't the story that I wanted to tell. You guys have taken it to a completely different level. Okay.
Yeah.
Then size matters and who you're playing with matters. So I think,
So this is a topic that we don't have an answer for.
well, I think we do have an answer for it, but
I think the answer is whatever the DM can handle. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think that honestly the answer on an open-ended question like this, and honestly, I think this was where we should leave it. Is size matters as long as your expectations, both as a player and a DM, are well communicated.
Yeah.
Size matters when you
If you want a more loosey-goosey kind of free-for-all campaign, probably keep it low. If
Well,
you want maybe a bit more, strategic, on-point campaign, you might be able to add a couple more players to it.
So-
If the players and the DM are capable and willing to accept those parameters.
and it all boils down to communication. Is what I'm getting at. Is
Yeah.
Communication is key, just like in life. Communication is key in this game. And depending on how verbal you are of your expectations and how verbal the DM is of their expectations, is whether or not they can deduce how big is too big.
And I would also, I 100% agree. I just want to add one caveat of something to recognize as a DM and or a player is your expectations might be unrealistic.
Yeah.
And that's total
Very-
truth.
very
and,
much
and
so.
it's all,
Oh,
and just like in life with real life relationships, compromise is key. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Sometimes even mid campaign or session, you have to compromise your end goal as a DM and string it the way that the players want to go. Or as a player, man, you can't sit on your morals and values as that player and fight the will of the party either. Like
Yeah.
there has to be compromise, just like like I said in life relationships, you have to compromise.
Yeah.
D&D, you have to compromise some things.
Oh, yeah.
And on that, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Of Dice and Brews. And remember, life's an adventure. Roll with it.